Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Or well, no, I guess it's afternoon.
It is. It's
It's afternoon.
12:30, but we feel like it's morning because, we didn't get a lot of sleep.
We did not. We did not get a lot of sleep last night. Good morning, Jazz. Good morning, Jennifer. I know Natalie's going to be hopping on. She just called me. Oh,
Ooh.
everybody's coming in now. Good
Good
morning.
morning, Heather.
Good morning, Kimmy Cakes. Good morning, Janie. Good morning, Bree. Good Lord. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Afternoon.
Afternoon. Stop saying
Whatever.
morning. You're making me say morning.
I know. Well, I woke up because, I had that out of body experience last night. I still don't know how I feel because I'm being told that I align. So I don't know if I'm supposed
Uh-huh.
to dye my hair purple today, or am I do I change my profile picture? What's trending for my newfound life?
Yeah.
Um,
I think you should do purple though.
I've done purple before. I had it blue and purple and green at one
See,
point. I used to do all kinds of stuff to my hair.
back when I was blonde, I did a lot of colors. I did a lot of pinks, like different shades of pinks. It was fun.
I think one of my favorites was I had really dark hair and then I did the whole front like a hot pink. And then the
Nice.
whole underneath hot pink. And it was my favorite. But
You're
yeah,
making
no,
me
I
want to
mean,
dye my hair.
I'm starting to want to now. Low key. What if I just did something real crazy just one more time, right? One more time. Am
You're
I too
kind of
old
making
for
me
it?
want
I feel like I'm too old for it now.
to. No.
No.
That's the new thing, though, is being able to be older and do those crazy things that you didn't do when you were younger, it seems like. Or even if you did do it when you were younger. Like you're seeing all these grandmas with hot pink hair and
Yeah,
purple
that's
hair.
true. That is true. Didn't you feel though, when you were that age that by the time that you got to this age that it would be so much different?
Yeah.
I thought there was no drama for adults and things
Yeah.
were very just boring and nothing happened
I
and
don't recall my mom ever having the same life that I have at 34.
no.
She was taking care of her kids and going to work and, being a wife. And because they didn't have the access to the social media that
Yeah.
we do now. And so it's almost like we've all kind of regressed a little bit because we're still in that, when I was a teenager and everything was on MySpace and
I miss
things like that.
MySpace,
And we were
man.
right.
Remember the quizzes or the
Yes.
little things that you would do? We got
And
to
we
figure
all
out a way to
thought we were
bring that to TikTok.
we all thought we were master coders, putting in the music
Animated
and changing
background.
our backgrounds, selecting our top 8. It was
I
a
don't
whole
think that I could
vibe.
remember how to do that right now if I tried.
No. I've tried logging into my MySpace a few times because the username is still there, you can still search it. But I can't get into it. The email is from 20 years ago. So
I'm sure it's something babe at yahoo.com or something. With numbers in
probably.
it. I got into mine a couple years ago and was able just to get the photos.
See, and that's what I want. I want to be able to get into my MySpace so I can get my photos that are in there. There was a lot of cool stuff that I had documented back from my high school sweetheart was a professional skateboarder. And so I got to meet Bam Margera.
You were a skater girl?
I was.
I can see that. That explains
I was
your
a
music love and
punk rock skater chick. And so we had parties where Bam and Johnny Knoxville would come out because they all knew each other from the skating world. And I'm I have so many cool pictures on my MySpace from that time.
I wonder if there's a way for you just to email them though. This is my user.
I tried a few years ago, and without access to the email or the phone number or knowing the phone number that I had at the time, I can't get anything. And I don't remember what my phone number was 15 years ago. I'm like you, I don't remember my email from 15 years ago, but you expect me to remember my phone number from 15 years ago.
Right. But not my password. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So unfortunately, I think those pictures are lost forever. But.
Oh, that's too bad. I can see that though now. Now that I'm thinking about your music choices that you do and even still the way that you wear your hair.
Yeah.
Because you can tell which girls were like a little bit more emo back in the day. Because
Uh-huh.
we're still rocking like the side part. Because I
My
still rock.
first ever
Natalie
concert.
messaged me last night and was like, "You're gonna be on the left side of TikTok tonight. What are you wearing? Like this is forever." And then I'm all in my head. She's like, "Go easy on the side part. They don't like our side part."
I shaved my legs for this. Don't
For
ask me
this?
why. Yes, don't ask me why, but I was like, this is like first date vibes for me. Like, I've never done a podcast before. I'm like, so I'm doing my makeup and I'm taking a bath, or I was taking a bath obviously first. And Charlie's in his little swing in there with me, or his little seat in there with me. And I'm looking over at the razor and I'm like, I feel like I need to shave my legs. And so I did.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm honored. I'm honored that you shaved your legs for me today.
My husband hasn't had shaved legs in months, but Kat's podcast gets shaved legs and makeup.
He'll thank me. He'll thank me when he comes home because it'll all still be there when he gets home. I mean,
Exactly.
Kevin, you're welcome. It's all because of me. Freedom Fam, is this the trouble maker on TikTok? Hey, this is Kat's Corner, Ricky.
I'm not a troublemaker.
And I'm not a troublemaker. Ricky always giving us junk in the comment sections.
Neither one of us are troublemakers.
So, speaking of last night, whatever. What was your takeaway? Honestly, like I've been really because all I'm getting called is like a traitor. So like right now, I don't want to talk to people that I know aren't crazy and be like, was it a good vibe? Like, do you?
It really was an amazing vibe. In the comments were amazing. But for me, what it really boiled down to is we see all of the negative that these people do, just like they see all of the negative we do. I mean, for God's sakes, it was the drama that got their attention.
Right.
I'm very big on like reading people, how they talk, how they, interact. And watching him last night, it humanized him. I think for so long, we've all just seen him as this evil person who does all these mean, bad things.
Yeah.
And last night, we got to see somebody who was just chill. Like there was no fancy, montages that he spent hours putting together. There was no dramatic effect of it all. It was just a guy sitting there talking. And his mannerisms and the way he spoke and the way he, laughed at I need a Middle Eastern in my friends group, like it humanized him.
Yeah.
And I think that was something really important for a lot of people to see because we don't see him and Savannah and the chick that went after me and Sarah. We don't see them as humans a lot of the time. They're the other side. They're evil. They're bad.
Yeah.
And it brought a very human aspect to it. And like I said last night, I have a whole new respect for the guy.
Weird, isn't it? Like that was kind of when I was talking to Toxin, we had joked, and it started off as like this little joke, because Ant was busy. He was on the beach and I'm like, well, we don't have a guest for tonight. Like, what do you want to do? And talk about, and I was like, you want to see if your new friend wants to come on? Like, what are we doing? And he kind of smirks, so like we called Ant because Ant's a big part of the show, and I'm like, we're not going to bring people on for drama. And, because I try to stay away from that on my other socials, like on my YouTube, on my Instagram. I don't want to do that stuff. And he was like, I don't know, man, you guys might be set. And I was horrified. Like, what if he hops in? And like, me, I'm like, he's going to hop in and have like all my personal information and then like dox me live on the internet. Like, that's what was in my head about it.
Exactly.
And then once we started talking, I'm like, I don't like some of the shit that you do. And some of the things that you do are very cringy to me. And I don't like it. But to have like the open line going back and forth is good because I can't tell you how embarrassed I am. I mean, we went hard on, she'll be back, I'm sure. But like for us to go as hard as what we went about the other situation that was, we went really, really hard when when like the essay stuff hit conservative TikTok, because we knew a
Yeah.
lot of girls and they were our friends. But if you really like take yourself completely out of the box, like we went really hard with less evidence.
Exactly.
And we allowed, because like I'm not gonna watch. I mean, now I do. It's very weird to see friends only posts from them.
Yeah.
Like, what is this world?
Yeah.
But okay. And then like I have creators with like Ukrainian flags in their profile pictures, like making little montages of last night. Like, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I'm like, okay. Like, I think that we did good. And now there's this line
Exactly.
that I don't want to ignore another really horrific situation that's happening to people just because
100%.
conservatives are backing him. And I blindly did that.
Yeah, and it's funny because
And
for
it's
so
very,
long,
like,
I feel like a lot of us have, you know, the left likes to use the word echo chamber.
mhm.
And I've always been somebody who's like, I'm not a part of that. Like, I listen, I feel like I am unbiased. I follow a lot of, you know, larger left creators. I have for a very long time because I like to see the perspective from them.
Mhm.
I like to hear their thoughts and opinions. And so I didn't feel like I was in that echo chamber.
Yeah.
And then this drama came about, and I was like, wow, am I an idiot? Like, I've really been fucking sitting here in the echo chamber that everybody was telling me I was in,
But you
and I couldn't see it.
Mm-mm.
I could not see it. And so having him follow me and opening that conversation between the two of us, and you know, seeing what took place last night, it made him, it's like in the movies when you finally figure out who the villain is, like that, you know, at the end of the movie, everything bad has happened, they've had their big battle, and then the Superman walks over and he takes off the mask to find out who the villain is, and you see it's this character that you kind of agreed with the whole time. They just went about what they were doing differently.
Right.
And so they were the villain. Last night, I feel like a mask was pulled off, and we got to be like, oh, so I can see why he's doing this. I can understand
like,
it.
I definitely, like, I will stand very firm that, like, I don't think that you should encourage people to call each other's jobs and things like that. It's very unsettling.
Absolutely.
It's very cringy to me.
Absolutely.
But when he explained why he had done it to, I was like,
I kind of get that.
I understand why. I may not
Yeah.
agree with it. And I think that there's this really weird thing that, like, if you're willing to be civil with somebody, that you automatically agree with everything that they say.
Yep.
I mean, it was proof last night that like Texas sitting over there and he's completely anti-vax.
Yep.
And then there's me, and I'm vaccine hesitant. And then there's pro-vax. So you had all three that were sitting together. I didn't go run out and get my shot today, you know?
Exactly.
Danish isn't going to get on the internet and be like, you know, that Trump wasn't a bad guy.
Yeah, right.
Not going to happen. And the whole point was like, it wasn't for him to say that he was sorry or
exactly
on him, and and he's going to do that the way that he wants to do it. But I wanted people to see like that maybe that's not all that there is to him.
Exactly.
And to see who he is and open that up to where we're at least comfortable, then we're not going to let something slip by like what slipped by. And it was right there. All of it was right there for everybody to see. It has its own hashtag.
Yep.
Hundreds of videos, more than enough proof, more than enough everything, to where if that would have happened to a conservative over on TikTok, we would have
lost their minds.
Around.
Yeah.
But we did nothing about it because we didn't think that it was true.
Exactly. And that's something that like I still haven't delved into that whole situation. I don't know. I don't know if it's my past.
I don't. If you have any kind of like past issues, and I know that me and you have had some similar experiences and things. It's difficult to get through.
And so I think that that's what's stopped me from really looking into it, because we all know I have like 9 accounts, and I use a lot of those troll accounts because people block me, And I have people blocked. And so I'll use those because I want to know what's going on. I'm nosy. We all know it.
And everybody is. So stop.
Exactly. Like, I want to know what's being said. I may not care about it. I may not want to partake in it, but I want to know, because then I'm reading comments and I'm trying to figure out who's who. So
My bottle of wine is my favorite. Like, I've never talked to her off the app, but the way that she covers this, I'm dying every time, because she's like, who's this person?
She's like, and this unknown woman. Oh my God, that was cracking me up. But like, on my troll accounts, I tend to get a lot more left-leaning stuff, because that's what I look up. I look up those people that I have blocked, like the ones who were behind me losing my mane. I have them unblocked on my troll accounts because I want to see if they're still talking about me. Because that to me is not okay, because we're mutually blocked. And so I see a lot more left creators on those troll accounts. And sometimes I scroll through and I'm like, we're all so much more similar than we think. And it's like I said to you yesterday, how the hell do we expect the government to do this when we as people who are in charge of none of the big things cannot do it? You guys came last night with him and people lost their minds. But we're like, Congress needs to get together and they need to, unanimously get together and support this bill because it's super important. Well, but wait, I thought we weren't allowed to agree with the other side. I thought that made us traitors.
It makes us traitors. And like, I want to, and he, like, from what he said, he always contacts authorities first when it is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why he feels the need to do it on the level that he does it. I myself, like I said, I think it's real uncomfy. It also opens up Pandora's box, but like the whole point of it was that like all of this conflict was around him. Well, the main three, right? So it's always their fault. It's their fault. So I wanted to go to the direct person that was being blamed and be like, yo, what the hell's going on? Like, are you really doing this?
Yep.
But you can't,
like, I think it's the fish.
This specific situation, you can't just be like, oh, well, he like doxes people, and but both sides are doing that right now.
Literally.
Insane amount of doxing coming from the right. There's an insane amount of doxing coming from the left. You can't share which doxing is okay and which doxing isn't okay.
If I could unhear one word for the rest of my life, it would be the word doxing.
Mine right now is perspective, because that's like with the girl, it's like, well, that was my perspective.
Yeah. No.
Well, it wasn't real though.
Exactly. Just because you perceived it that way doesn't mean that it happened that way. But I wish that nobody would use the word doxing anymore.
I mean, people from like all of this. I think all of it's wrong. The swatting, the doxing, the all of it. I didn't bring him on because like I agreed at the method that he does. We were trying to understand why. And some stuff was true or not true. And then we have a mutual hatred of pedophiles. Like, there is a mutual love to destroy those people between us. And
when I had somebody this morning responded to my comment that said, stop making me like you, when Dinesh made a comment. And so I said, stop making me like you. And they were like, so you like a man that, uses a black man's past against him? And I'm like, this is the problem. You're skipping over the entire story, because if you would have read my second comment that says, I don't like or agree with how you do things, but your energy is fantastic.
Right.
Maybe you could have saved yourself some more drama, because now we're going to go back and forth because you took one part of what was actually said instead of the entire story.
Right.
It's something as simple as two comments can be misconstrued into now I'm supporting black men being doxxed. Like,
you align with the left.
Where did I say that?
Right. But that's where we've gotten, though. That's where we've gotten. And I think, like, it's because of, I mean, it's politics, but like we're in this really dangerous area right now to where there is really nobody here anymore. That
Nope.
like we're so apart. And
And
that's
I
why I said last night, like one of my biggest fears is Donald Trump running again. Like I
exactly.
love my little Cheeto so much. Like
Yep.
none of that has changed. I fear for my country though, if
Absolutely.
we stay as divided as what we are, because it's just gonna keep building and building and building.
And as much as and I totally agree with you. As much as I love and admire what he did and how he opened eyes to a lot of things. I respected a lot of his policies, not all of them, but there were a very good amount of policies that I was like, yes, 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 yes. But if he were to run again and get elected, I guess that's what I should say. If he were to run for president and be put back in the White House, there will be no fixing this country.
No, I mean they'll be surrounding the White House within weeks. We're going to be back to fighting. We're going to be back to these us just
summers of love.
Yeah, do it. Like I can't do it again.
And I can't support that. And I think that one amazing thing,
because one amazing thing that minds over that man.
Yeah, one of the amazing things that came out of him being in office, I think, is, or I guess one of the amazing things that came out of the division is that it's now made people like me and you, who were hardcore Trump supporters, go, this is not good for my country.
Right, maybe
as much as we loved what he did and who he was and his no bullshit attitude, it is not good for my country. And at the end of the day, that is what's important, is what's best for my country. It's never been about sides for me. I've voted Democrat several times. Granted, they've always been in like local elections. I've never voted for a Democratic president.
I voted for Obama twice.
Yeah, see, and I guess it was more my dad's. So my dad has a very different kind of job in the military, and so I was exposed to a lot of things that weren't not necessarily public knowledge or top secret, but my dad did a lot of work with the CIA and the Pentagon. He was, worked for a very large mercenary company that, if you know large mercenary companies. And so I, during that time, could not respect the man enough to vote for him because I had that other knowledge. But I voted Democrat several times, and when it comes to local elections and things like that, because it's about what's best for my country. And if I think that your policies are what's going to get us there, then it's what's going to get us there. But
Henry's being real mean to me upstairs.
Henry's being mean to you? Okay. Well, what do we do with that?
I tried getting him back, but he just keeps being mean.
Okay. Well, why don't you take a break from each other then?
I don't think that Biden's the answer for their 4 years. I would like to see, I want a fresh face. Like, give me a fresh face. Let me see who you are. Tell me about yourself. Like,
Devin and I have gone back and forth on this so many times because he is a firm believer that if Trump was to run with Candace Owens, that he would seal the deal. I do not want that woman anywhere near the White House. I can't. I don't watch her. I don't follow her. I've seen enough of she is just as bad as
like I got her book and I read her book and it was really good, but then like something happened and
something shifted where she went from being this straightforward woman who I could respect to being somebody who was like, you're a little shady. I'm not liking what's going on here.
Right.
So I'm
some bad friends or something. Like because
I'm excited to see what happens. As far as who puts in their bid and who runs. But I'm really scared. I'm really scared.
I am because the big someone was saying, got to get through the 2020 election first. And I'm huge on that. And a lot of people don't show up for that. They don't realize how important Like we watched it happen. Like we had this regardless of what side of the fence you were on, you have seen something happen where you're like, why isn't the president doing this? And you
Yes.
discover that they cannot do it.
Yep.
Because it's all it goes back to your state and where you're from and where you live. So
Exactly.
if you can't change there, then it doesn't matter who the hell's sitting in the White House.
Exactly.
It doesn't
I am
matter.
happy that COVID's over now, though.
Is it officially over? Like, is that like?
I swear to God, I laughed so hard yesterday. I got an email from my insurance company that said, "Welcome to the endemic," and I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me."
They announced it.
So I opened it up, and it was literally talked about how now we are coming out of this. This is, how my insurance company is going to handle things from now on, giving me links to the CDC's latest guidance. And I'm like, okay, so we're over this completely now.
Yeah, it was replaced with war. Now we have war. Like, congratulations. Don't be afraid that you're going to die of COVID. Now it's
going to be nukes.
Fallout.
Yes.
And then you got Victoria Hammett meeting with
oh my God.
and educating us about I can't. I mean, that I was also.
I wish one guy's opinion would come back. I really, really, really miss him.
What happened? Did he just not want to do it anymore?
So I missed the video, but he put out a video saying that he was getting violation after violation. He always knew that it was going to end up being this way. So he's like, I'm just going to delete before they get a chance to ban me. And he left, and I was like, damn it, who's gonna correct Victoria all the time now?
We're gonna have to wait until another chosen one steps into the limelight for that. I don't see her as much though.
No, she used to be all over my FYP and my following because people would stitch her, and I haven't seen her for a good 2 months, but then she made that nuclear video and now everybody's stitching her. So she's coming back.
I saw her on Fox.
She was on Fox?
Well, she wasn't on Fox. I was sitting. It's really weird. My door cracked open by itself. I'm sitting on the couch and I was playing on my iPad. And all of a sudden I hear TikTok invited to the White House. And I was like,
I didn't see that.
Effing kidding me. So I peek up and whose little face do I see on the screen? And I lost my shit. I threw the remote across the room. And my husband's like, what is your problem? I'm like, I hate that bitch so much. I just went off. And I'm like, and these are the people that they pick for the White House. There are a lot of creators from the left that picked that I think would have been better for this.
Did you see the video of it was a press conference, I think it was last week, where Psaki was talking about the sanctions that Russia put on Biden?
No, but that's hilarious. I did hear that Russia put sanctions on Biden.
I literally I hate that woman. I think we all agree we hate that
how
woman.
Was it worded?
But it was the funniest thing. She was like, as one of the reporters was like, what do you guys think of these new sanctions that have been placed against you guys? And she's like, well, first of all, Biden's a junior, so they may have sanctioned his dad, may rest in peace. And I was like, yo, if that wasn't the most Kylie thing she's ever done in my life, she clapped back so hard.
Dad?
Yeah, because they didn't put junior, and he's a junior, so they sanctioned a dead man. That's what I saw. I'm like, I can't. But the way she handled it, I was like, okay, I can get behind that attitude. That was funny. You're annoying and you're stupid, but that was
Once in a while she'll get a decent zinger out where I'm like, all right, that was a little bit fun.
Yeah. And then she was like, well, none of us are planning a trip to Russia anytime soon. And I was like, okay, she's on one today.
Wouldn't you be? I would be on one every day.
Oh, yeah.
Job with Joe Biden. She has to go in. They all pretend to like him at this point.
Yeah.
They're really genuinely.
It's a huge farce. They had to pick I think they they were very smart in their choice for press secretary for him. She's a very homely person. You know what I mean? She's not somebody who's very blitzed and glammed up like we've seen with previous administrations. She's not somebody who pops off at the mouth.
Yeah.
She's very together in a way. And so I think they were like, okay, well, we've got crazy over here, so we need something to mellow that out a little bit. We're going to try and...
Wouldn't the junior automatically be dropped once the senior dies?
I don't know. See, I don't know. I didn't look into like the actual sanctions. I just saw the clip of what she said, and I was like, ooh, that was a good one.
My favorite though are all like the funny ones, like, you know, Biden puts sanctions on Disney Plus for Putin.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like all the little stuff that they do. But I feel like I don't like it that both forms of mainstream media are kind of like a little war hungry.
Yeah.
Like I feel like everyone's like a little war hungry right now, and
it's like, not what we need.
At war right now. Isn't that a good thing? Like, shouldn't we just chill out for a little bit?
It'd be nice. And you know, everybody's talking biolabs and nuclear weapons and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, could we just like not? Could we not, please? Like, Russia and China are the last two things we need. Like, could we not?
No, I mean, that's like Danish and our exorcist coming after you.
Oh my God, literally. Oh my God. Which one of them is Russia? I feel like our exorcist is kind of Russia though. Yeah. And I think that's how that would play out, because he's a little more like
shady.
You know, yeah.
You take the two scariest countries in the world, and you're like, let's go fuck with them for a little bit. Like, no, bro.
Could we not?
My favorite though has been like, because me and Amber were kind of like on the same page in the beginning, where I'm like, I kind of like this guy. I like this guy from Ukraine. Like, da-da-da-da. And now I'm like, something's really wrong with this guy from Ukraine. Like,
yeah.
But the thing that doesn't, and then like, if I say that though out loud, then you get all the people that are like, oh, so you like
you don't stand with Ukraine. No.
I don't like either of them. I
don't stand either. And, you know, like I get that, you know, what's happened over the last few weeks has obviously been a little different, I guess. But have we forgotten that Russia and Ukraine have been at war for like 8 years now? Like, did we forget that? Like, why is this all of a sudden breaking nuclear news?
Girl, it's because of Ukraine. That's where they do all their sketchy shit. Like, they love Ukraine. They do all their sketch shit in there. We got to protect it.
I'm like, this has been going on for 8 years. Why do we care so much right now? Oh, it's because of who's in the White House, isn't it? Isn't that why we're interested?
And we're more than interested too, because mainstream media, I haven't watched it in a few days, so I don't know if it's changed. Last time that I was watching it, that's all that they're talking about.
Yep.
All day.
Well, see, and I had to stop because Jack came home one day and asked me which country was going to war with another country. And I was like, nope, no more news, no more nothing, no more talking about it, nothing. Because the last thing my 7-year-old needs to be thinking about is, he's in the room, is things like Russia and their capabilities.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's a very sensitive kid emotionally, and is very, like, he's a little empath. He can definitely pick up on things. And so I'm like, that's the last thing you need to be worried about or hearing about. No more news. No more.
You know, like I'm not going to say that when I watch the news, I'm definitely not one of those people that's like, this is all just bullshit and fake and da-da-da. No. Yeah. And I don't like seeing children crying, and I don't like seeing like bodies, like whatever video he put together, the guy from Ukraine and put out. I understand. I understand where your heart is coming from and for your country and for all the rest of it. But like, somebody has to be the one to say that it's none of our business. Yep. They're not a part of NATO. Yes, if they attack in NATO territory, absolutely, the U.S. will step in and do whatever they need to do. But I don't understand why they want us to stare at it all day long. I don't.
Yeah, it's too much. Like, we're finally getting back to some some resemblance of life before COVID.
Mhm.
And now we're being bombarded with this.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I
it's
just stopped being like worried about the other shit.
exactly. It's like, did you just throw up? Oh, that was drool. I was like, that was so much drool. I thought he threw up.
He's getting so big.
It's so, he's just under 16 pounds now.
Good Lord.
I'm like, you're 3 months old, bro. Can you chill out?
Get it.
That'd be nice. But it's just, we're finally starting to come out of this and get back into normal life. Places are lifting their mask mandates. Kids in schools are starting to be able to do this again. Like, we're finally able to get back to real life. And now everybody's living with this other fear. And it's always something that's going to kill us. It's going to kill millions of people. Everyone's going to die. Your grandma's going to die. Your children are going to die. Everybody's going to die. So focus, focus, focus. Bring it here. And I refuse to do that in my house anymore.
Yeah, I was one that definitely, like in the beginning of COVID, it scared the ever living.
Girl, I was in Washington. I was terrified. We had the first confirmed case, and I was like, I'm not going anywhere. We're not leaving the house. We're sanitizing everything.
That's how I was.
Don't
like,
come in.
I was working at the time, so I was working in long-term care at the time, and then I just remember coming home and like ripping my scrubs off on my front porch or in my garage, putting them in the bag to bring them into the house, to put them into the washer. Kids can't touch me. Don't touch me. And then I can't even smell yellow Dial soap anymore if I try, because I'd wash my whole body in it after leaving work. And then I was doing it after I got out of the shower. I was doing it. All my groceries were being wiped down before I got home. And that didn't last a really long time. Like once I couldn't work anymore and started paying attention to a few more things, I'm like, what are we? Not that it wasn't a big deal. Like I myself personally still am concerned about getting COVID. I don't want COVID. Like I'm all set there. I don't want it.
It sucks. And having to watch and that's the thing that that's why I said when we got COVID after Charlie was born, that's why I put those videos on Friends Only, because I wanted so badly to have a discussion about the fact that we contracted COVID from a hospital that mandated vaccines for every employee. And we got it from the hospital. How does that work? Right. You know what I mean? And so I was just, and here I am, after dealing with all the mental stuff I went through with being pregnant and then having a 9-day-old testing positive for COVID, I'm like, so this is it. Like, so I made it through labor and delivery to have my kid die from COVID.
And what a lot of people know and some people don't know, but you've openly talked about it. Like you do suffer from pretty serious medical anxiety. And it's a legitimate thing. Like the more. I actually, and I talked to my therapist about this. I choose to use the term medical anxiety. I'm a hypochondriac is what it is, but it's so much deeper than that. That's why I use the term medical anxiety. Yeah. Because for me, I don't stub my toe and think that it's broken and I need to go into the emergency room. Right. But there is something in me that tells me something is wrong with my body. Like, for instance, last night and today have been kind of a crap show for me because I'm on an antibiotic right now. My hormones are still really out of whack. And I suffer from a inflammatory disease that causes a lot of acne-like boils. Okay. And so I talked to my doctor about it because now that my hormones are starting to regulate and I've gotten my period back, everything's breaking out everywhere. And so she put me on an antibiotic. And last night, my hands started getting ice cold. Like so cold, it felt like they were burning cold. And so I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then it would go away. And then I'd go outside to smoke and it would happen again. And I'm like, why are my hands doing this? And so then I'm up
all night researching, hands tingling, coldness in hands. And I'm going, oh my God, this could be a neurological thing. This could be a tumor. This could be, and that's kind of the path that I take. So it's not hypochondriac in the sense that people think. It is something different. I am very in tune with everything I feel in my body. And so the slightest things like a muscle twitch that a normal person could feel and just go, okay, maybe I'm a little dehydrated. I'm like on a 15 out of 10 going, this is a blood clot. It's going to travel up my brain. I'm going to die. My kids are going to find me dead.
Is that been like forever, or is it something, because I started getting like you about like a year, like when I got sick.
Yeah.
Like, every little thing I would overanalyze and be like, ooh, that pain. I haven't felt that pain. What could that
exactly
be? This could be my
So
appendix.
this started for me about 3 years ago. The first time it ever happened, I was with my ex, and we were all sitting at home, and we were having family movie night, and we were watching Sing, and all of a sudden I got really hot, and I was wearing a jacket inside because it was wintertime. And so I'm like, okay, maybe the heat and the hot, like, you know, the heat in the house and my jacket, like I need to take my jacket off. So I took my jacket off and I walked back to go sit down on the couch, and all of a sudden I thought I was going to die. I don't know what happened. All that happened in my brain. He doesn't like mommy talking about that.
He does not want you talking.
So I'm walking back to the couch and I just get really dizzy, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to like black out. Like that's the feeling I had. And my heart was pounding out of my chest and my whole body was just shaking. Like I was literally teeth chattering because I was so cold. And I'm telling Josh, I'm like, dude, you need to call an ambulance. And he's like, Brittany, you look perfectly fine. He's like, there's nothing wrong with you. What's going on? So I eventually ended up going to the hospital, and they were like, oh, it was just a panic attack. And I'm like, I was sitting on my couch watching a movie with my kids. What about that is panic inducing? What about that?
Have you ever watched it though? I'll send it to you. It's interesting to watch. They've done MRIs where it'll show what your brain actually does the moment. It's a chemical that's released, and it's like a fight or flight, and it just dumps for no reason. Yeah. It's insane.
And it's the most insane thing I've ever experienced. And after that first episode that happened about 3.5 years ago, for the next 2 or 3 months, I'm not even joking. I counted it at one time. I was in and out of the hospital like 42 times within a 3-month, because it would happen every single day. And I'm like, you guys are not hearing me. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. And I'm going to die. Like you're not listening.
You're going to miss it, and I'm going to be done.
Exactly. And so I would go back and I would try to reword my symptoms, or I would be like, okay, I know I'm going to see a different doctor. Maybe they'll think of something the other doctors didn't think of.
Right.
And it's still something that I deal with to this day because it still hasn't stopped. But I've come to accept that part of it is in fact anxiety, because when I went to that cardiologist and finally got somebody to do an echo of my heart, it was the first time after 3 years that somebody finally looked at my heart. I haven't had a single heart palpitation since. He told me my heart was totally fine, that there was no blockages. For being a smoker for the last 20 years, He said, your heart is fine. They literally called me after hours because they knew how scared I was. Yeah. They wanted to let me know as soon as they read it. And they were like, your heart is great. It's healthy. Everything's working properly. I haven't had a single palpitation since. So I know that part of it is an underlying anxiety, but I do feel like I'm still convinced that something is
off
there. Something's off. But it's something that I see a lot of women our age going through.
Oh, just anxiety in general, even without it being medical anxiety. Like I struggled with anxiety bad when I was in high school. Really, really bad. Like, I mean, I stopped going to high school, dropped out, was like, wow. And then I was good for years. did a bunch of therapy, got some coping techniques. I was like, I got this shit. And even when I would get anxiety, I could get myself to a point where I said, okay, this is going to last 10 minutes.
Exactly.
20 minutes tops. If I'm not okay in 20 minutes, something's probably wrong and we'll readdress it. And to sit in my anxiety. And I had it mastered out of absolutely nowhere. Well, it was after my hysterectomy.
Yeah.
Came back with a vengeance, and they came back really, really bad over the last few months too, to where I'll get them out of nowhere again, just walking. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, you're going to die.
Literally.
I'm like, what? Why am I going to die right now? And
literally,
even to talk myself out of it, I'm still.
I at one point looked up symptoms of schizophrenia because I was so convinced that is what was going on, was that somebody in my head, somewhere deep inside my head, was literally telling me, because they thought it was funny that something was going, like, I'm telling you, that's how bad it has gotten over the last 3 years. And I feel like doctors dismiss a lot of, mainly women, everything that you come in for, it's anxiety. It's always, always, always anxiety. They don't look any further.
Like, they always want to give me pelvics. I'm like, nothing's even wrong down there. I don't even have the parts. Stop trying to use my vagina for things.
Exactly. It's always something. And I'm like, you're not understanding. Like, you're not looking at what I'm asking you to look. You're not hearing me. You're seeing a woman. You're understanding that I've been on birth control for the last 20 years. And now all of a sudden I've been pregnant and I've stopped and I'm in my mid-30s. And so it's anxiety. It's anxiety. It's anxiety.
Okay,
Take deep and breathing.
I don't hear why. Like, why is it happening to so many women? What is causing it?
Yeah.
What are things that because it's always like, we can put you on some Zoloft. We can put you on this. And it's like, I don't want that. I want you to make it go away so that I can have my life.
I tell them all the time, I don't feel comfortable in my body. I don't feel comfortable in my body. And that's not okay. Nobody should have to live feeling uncomfortable with themselves. And, you know, I look at people like Sarah. Her and I have talked a lot about this because our symptoms are so similar. And my mom had me when she was 20. So she's exactly 20 years older than I am. She is experiencing the same progression that I'm experiencing now at 34. Why? Why are all of us women who are between this age all of the sudden having these anxiety issues, these, you know, hormonal issues, this imbalance within us that's causing us to think these things and feel these things? And it's just, nobody wants to look at it. They want to just go, oh, it's just anxiety. It's that's all it is. Just move along.
And then I hate that term too. It's just anxiety. Like, if you've never had an anxiety attack, you need to shut up and never say that again.
Yeah.
My husband, like, he had one that's it. He's only had one his whole life. And he's like, that shit put me in the hospital. I was freaking out in the ER. He was like pulling IVs out. Like, you guys are a joke. You don't understand what's wrong with me. He's like, they gave me a Xanax. I sat down and I was like, oh. And he never got one again. He'll get like nervous energy, and then he just pushes through it.
Yeah.
Like, physically, like, he will literally go out and like do push-ups or go work on something or get it out physically. That's the way that he does it. We're like, I don't know how to make mine go away anymore. It was really easy when I was a teenager. Not so much now. Like, it's just not as easy to get rid of it. Unfortunately, I just sit in it.
I have been on Klonopin for 3.5 years now.
Girl, that's no joke. I took one of those one time and see you next week.
I take 1/4 of a tablet twice a day. So I am on and it's like a 0.5 milligram tablet. So I am on 1/4 of the lowest dosage possible. And the moment I take it, I feel better. It's all mental for me. And I've told my doctors and my psychiatrist this. I'm like, look, because, it's a controlled substance and doctors don't want you to be on this stuff long term. I should not 3 years into taking Klonopin be able to take a fourth of a tablet and feel okay.
No,
I
you
should be
be at a
needing
full
like
fill in that too.
I should be needing it around the clock at a much higher dosage. And so I've told them several times, I think it's just the act of taking it. I think that it's a mental thing. And so they've continued to prescribe it to me because they know I'm not addicted. Because
Well,
who the hell 3
like-
years later is still taking a fourth of a tablet? You know what I mean? I'm like, my doctor, this last prescription, she gave me 60 tablets for 30 days because after all the Josh stuff happened, my panic attacks came back.
I'm sure. honey.
And so she upped my dosage to 2 full tablets twice a day. I haven't even cracked the bottle because I'm still on the last bottle that she gave
Right.
me, you know?
Well,
So I think it's all mental.
Give me like pain meds. I don't like taking pain meds. I do not like it. Well, I was in the hospital this weekend and came home with pain meds because I had like a huge cyst and like all kinds of problems going on. And they're like, okay, well, they give you a bottle of it. And they're like, one every, I take one. That's it. Like at the end of the day, I won't take them during the day because like, not only do I have a little bit of like, not as severe with the medical anxiety as you, but just anxiety in general, but I have a very huge anxiety around medications.
Yep.
They scare me. Any pill scares me. When I go to take a pill, I'm always so scared that I'm going to have the bad reaction to the pill or something's going to happen to me. So my problem a lot of time is that I'll avoid taking them because I'm scared they'll make me sicker. And then I wind up getting myself in a situation where my pain's out of control.
Which is exactly what I'm going through right now.
Like,
this antibiotic, I was looking it up last night, and one of the things that was reported was a cold tingling sensation in the hands when exposed to cold. And so I laughed and I told Devin, I was like, okay, I'm going to do an experiment. I said, I'm going to go outside and smoke. I'm going to put one hand in my sleeve of my sweater and I'm going to leave one hand exposed to the cold. And wouldn't you fucking know, the hand that was exposed started with the tingling and the cold. And I'm like,
it was the medication.
So I know it's the medication. And so now I'm like, I have to stop it. And he's like, but what if the infection? And I'm like, it's acne. I don't care. Like, let it come. I don't fucking care. I don't want my hands cold.
Well, and that's always what it is too. Like, oh, you have this problem. Okay, well, we're going to give you this pill for this problem. But now you don't have that problem anymore. You have all these now, though. Have a good day.
And that's what started me on a lot of my spiritual stuff with the crystals and the yoga and the oils and the Reiki sessions. I don't know have you ever had a Reiki session?
I have not had like an in-person one, but I want to try it so bad.
My girl Chanel lives right by you. And I want you to hook up so badly.
Dude, give me the info. I'll go. We'll vlog the whole thing. Like it'll be a whole journey.
She did it over the phone with me. Mm-hmm. It was it wasn't over the phone. I'm sorry. It was through Facebook Messenger. So we weren't on video. We weren't on a phone call. It was literally just us typing back and forth to each other. And I had a spare room in our old house that was dedicated to my yoga room. So I had all of my meditation stuff in there. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go into my yoga room while she does this. So I'm laying there and I've got all these candles lit and I'm like waiting because I'm like, she's like, okay, give me a couple minutes. And so I'm like looking at my phone and nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden I felt like this weird tickle in my throat. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe I have to cough or something. And then I felt like this weird tingling in like, not my crotch, but in my crotch area. And I'm like, what the fuck? And she's like, okay, so do you have a problem with like your throat chakra and your sacral chakra? And I'm like, yo, what? And she's like, well, she was like, I was just looking at your throat chakra a minute ago. And then I moved down to your, or the solar plexus, whichever one is right above your genitalia area.
Felt it though? That's crazy.
And I'm like, but why did I feel you tingling in those areas without even knowing that you were there? And so then like a couple of just other really weird things happened. Like there was one point where
help with your anxiety. Did it help kind of?
It did.
Good.
It really did. And there was one point where I had a lot of problems with my mom growing up. And so she was talking about cutting a cord with my mom. And all of a sudden this candle got really, really bright in my room. And she goes, she starts typing. And so I look over at my phone and she goes, why did it just get really bright? And I'm like, nope, I am out. I'm like, how did you know that candle just got really bright? I'm like, nope.
Weird.
It really freaked me out, but it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever done. She actually did a session with me and Devin.
Gosh.
It was crazy. It was the craziest thing I've ever done.
And I want to look more into stuff like that because I do. I freak out I don't like taking medicine all day, every day. Yep. Like my anxiety in the morning is so high because I have to look at all the little bottles that I got to take. And I'm like, you got to take them. You've been taking them. You're going to be okay. You're not going to have a reaction. You've been on them. Like I got to talk myself into this shit.
Yeah.
I'll take all of them. And then like for about 30 minutes, I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm
exactly.
The pill and I'm just going to keel over. And so I want to look more into like homeopathic stuff. And I think it's good I think that kind of stuff is good for you because it does help with your anxiety and things like that. And I mean, I'm sure for pain. And I mean, she has cancer. Like her pain is deep and it hurts badly. Yeah. She went and she only has to go every few months. And she doesn't take like her hardcore Oxycontin pill anymore. She just takes a Norco here and there now.
Yeah.
So like there has to it because it's working.
You look at, civilizations like China, and you look back at how they've integrated herbs and natural medicine into why are they all living till they're 100, 120? But yet we're dying out at 70. And 60.
They look good. Like you don't see like a bunch of like heavy set, sickly people walking around there.
Exactly.
Food. You can't avoid putting it in, but like I feel like we can do something to detox it.
Exactly. And so that's actually what I'm doing this weekend is I'm going to be detoxing. Today is my last day of smoking and I'm going to. So I had a couple of problems when I was pregnant with Charlie, where I did break down and smoke, because I couldn't handle taking the Klonopin. And to me, it was the lesser of two evils. So I had a couple of issues while I was pregnant with him. And then I delivered him. And within 2 hours, I was up. Hey, can I go outside? Can I go outside? I need to go outside.
I need a cigarette.
And so I was like, literally, I'm walking through the hallways like a fucking snail because I just shot a 7.5-pound kid out of my vagina with no medicine. And I'm like,
you did a natural childbirth too.
Twice. This was the second time. I was supposed to get drugs this time. I didn't get drugs. So I'm like waddling out there, I'm like, this is not. I just had a baby. I should not be concerned about going outside right now. Why am I doing this? But I kept doing it. And so I started talking about wanting to quit. And I've been on it for a couple of months now. And Devin and I found these essential oil. They're called fumes. And they're these little they look like wooden cigarettes. And they have black pepper sticks in them that have black oil essential oils on them. Uh-huh. And black pepper is supposed to help curb your cravings for nicotine.
Right.
So we bought those, and I talked to the kids about it. And yesterday we went to the store to get cigarettes, and Jack was like, wait, why are you buying cigarettes? I thought you were done with that. And I was like, fuck.
Oh no, I've never had a
kid. Here it comes.
No, my son's doing it. My other two kids never did, but my son, hey mom, why do you smoke?
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't know, buddy. Like, and I try to avoid it. And he's like, it can kill you,
Yep.
Isn't it so funny that we're people who have anxiety over certain things, but we will smoke a cigarette?
I told Devin the same thing. My biggest thing is blood clots. Like I am convinced I am going to die of a blood clot. That is literally what is on my mind almost every minute of every day. And what's funny is when I am in the height of a panic attack, I'll look at Devin and be like, watch the baby. I'm going to go outside and smoke. And then I get out there and I'm like, smoking causes blood clots. Why am I out here doing this? Mm-hmm. Why am I doing the thing? I am so scared of killing me.
Did you have a blood clot?
No, I've never had one. I don't know why. but that is the thing. Nobody in my family has ever died of a blood clot. I don't even know that anybody in my family has ever had one. But for some reason, that is the thing. It is what I focus on. It is always going to be, especially like I'll feel something in my legs and I will pull up my pant legs and I'll be like, babe, will you please check my legs? And God bless that man. Thank you, TikTok, for finding me this man.
Dude, your guys' love story is just the best.
The fact that he puts up with my nonsense is, God bless that man.
My husband too.
But so I'm pulling up my pant legs and I'm like, babe, will you look at my legs? And so he'll run his hands up the back of my calves to make sure there's no warm spots or swollen areas or anything like that. And he's never once dismissed me. Like he's never once made me feel stupid for asking him. So he
makes you feel better when he does it. Like even in your head, like you are not a doctor. You are not trying to check me for blood clots,
and I've certainly not been dying of a blood clot for 3 years.
No.
That's the thing I can't get through my head is why for 3 years have I been thinking that I'm dying? Every time my leg twitches, I'm like, oh my God, this is it. I'm going to die. This is it. It's happening.
But you handle it well because you're self-aware about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love that you're so open about talking about it because that's helpful to others. I mean, we've had comments on this that are just so validated right now, and it's hard to kind of share those things, but at the same time,
it is because people look at you like you're crazy.
Yes.
And I've told my doctor so many times, like I've yet to find a medical doctor who has accepted me and heard me and done the things to make me feel better yet. I am still on that journey to find that doctor.
Girl, you and me both.
I had one therapist when I was in Washington still, and all of this first started. I went back into therapy immediately. I was like, okay, I need fucking help. And this woman her name was Crystal, and I will never forget her or the impact she had. She made me feel like I wasn't crazy for the first time ever. And I was like, why is this not normal? I should be able to talk to my medical doctor and not feel dismissed. I should be able to talk to my medical doctor and not have them say, you need therapy. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for you to evaluate my mental state. I'm here for you to evaluate my medical state.
Well, and you're taking care of that mental state though, too.
Exactly.
And a lot of people, they put it off on that. I know after I was diagnosed with failure to thrive, they wanted me to have an eating disorder. They went me through so many psych evals and everything else. How did she lose 100 pounds? Like nobody just loses 100 pounds. I had to take 3 psych evaluations in a year. 3. And they were like, oh, you need therapy. Well, all these therapists are telling me that I don't need therapy. They're telling me that I don't, that this isn't, they think that I need supportive therapy, if I'm having a bad day or if I'm depressed or things like that. But when it comes to, it's so dismissive. And women get dismissed way more than men do. I see it happen way more to women. And I think that more people need to talk about it. I think that it's great that you do, but
that's kind of why I brought so much of that to my TikTok, especially when I was pregnant and going through all of the anxiety that I had about it, because nobody talks about these things. And I was blown away at the amount of women who were like, you're not alone. I had the same thoughts. I thought I was going to die too. I constantly worried about dying during labor. And I'm like, why don't we talk about this? We talk about postpartum depression.
To do with mental health because you don't want to be deemed crazy.
Mm-hmm. We talk about postpartum depression or antepartum depression. We talk about, all these things. Why don't we?
When you get into the postpartum psychosis realm, then it's taboo again.
Yep, exactly.
Understandable. And that poor woman. But postpartum psychosis, she needs to be thrown in prison for the rest of her life.
Exactly. And it's funny that you say that because with Henry, Henry was the only one that I had postpartum depression with. And I feel as though I was borderline postpartum psychotic or psychosis.
I had the postpartum psychosis with my oldest.
He was a colic baby. and he had an undiagnosed allergy. So for the first 3-4 months of his life, it was literally screaming from the time he woke up until the time he went to bed. There was never happy moments with him until he hit about 6 months old, and we started figuring out, okay, let's take dairy out and let's try this. And then we finally got him to being a happy baby. And I have said so many times, I could never and would never hurt my children.
No.
However, after going through what I went through with Henry, I now understand the mentality that Casey Anthony had.
You understand the postpartum psychosis.
I get how you get to the point of harming your child, because there were so many times where I had to put him down and walk away because I knew I was about to cross a line.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to hurt this baby. If I keep rocking him, I'm going to hurt him. And so I would put him down.
That version of it. After my oldest, with my next two, I was like, you got to put me on something the minute that I deliver.
Literally.
Minute that I delivered. And they did. They were awesome about it at where I had my kids.
Yeah.
They came in as soon after the bonding and stuff. They were like, hey, I'm like, yep, let's go.
Yeah.
It got horrible with my oldest. And
terrifying.
Talked about a lot because my oldest is almost 20.
Yep.
It wasn't talked about and the psychosis, and sure as hell wasn't talked about.
No, not.
There was a line from postpartum depression to postpartum psychosis until I met with my OB. And I begged her for meds, and she's like, well, what's going on? Like, was it really that bad with your oldest? And I said, I can't even explain to you my thought process during that time or who I was as a human being at all. It wasn't me, though.
No.
And then it never really got taken care of, so I struggled for a really long time, I think, because of that, because I never got it taken care of. You know what I mean? All right, girly, we are at 1 hour, and that is how long we stay live. I would love for you.
I'm going to get him bed. Yeah,
I would. And I'm trying to plan like something for like the next month or two, to where we can get like a group of girls.
Heck yeah.
Like a group of us, and just kind of go over some stuff. And yes, anybody that has not ordered tea from Sarah Chalene, you need to do.
Is the tea mixed with the champagne? Because now I've got an open bottle of champagne. So y'all are about to see fun Brittany for the rest of the day, because I got to drink this. I can't let it go to waste.
I need, thank God for Donald Trump. I just,
oh my God.
I remember you doing that as like your video response to on your freaking washer on the counter outside. Yeah. I want to see that. I want to see that Brit today.
I can find a place in this house to do this today.
I need it from you. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So open and willing to talk about stuff that's good. And we love you, Charlie. Oh my goodness.
Sleepy smiles. Yeah, sleepy smiles.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And before I forget, even though I don't have it right here like I thought I did, next Friday we have, ironically, Brittany, aka Half Baked Politics, hanging out. So I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day, and we will see you next week.
Heck yeah.
Bye, guys.
Get him to bed now.